Boys to fun.
A bread to a hungry soul.
A roadmap to a lost traveler.
Boys to fun.
A living water for those who thirst.
A clanging cymbal to those who slumber.
A guide reflection for the Sunday Gospel.
Boys to fun.
Hello again, people of God. Today we're going to reflect on the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time. You know, at the end of the fourth Gospel, St. John tells us that if everything Christ did during his brief earthly life, during his 3 years of public ministry, were written down, the entire world could not contain the books. We can infer from that, then, that many, maybe even the majority, of Christ's miracles and encounters were not recorded by the New Testament writers. So why did St. Luke include this one? Clearly because of the lesson that Christ teaches us by it, the beauty and the wonder of gratitude. The one leper who came back to thank Jesus is praised for his gratitude. We can almost hear the sadness in Jesus' heart at the lack of the gratitude of the other 9 who were healed. Why does Christ value gratitude so much? Is he vain? Is his self-esteem so weak that he gets depressed if we don't praise and thank him? No, he values gratitude because gratitude is valuable. It's valuable for us, for the health of our souls. In the first place, gratitude keeps us grounded in the truth, which is key for our ongoing relationship with God. To be ungrateful to God is not only unjust, but it's also living in illusion. The simple fact is that everything we have is a gift from God. Creation, life itself, our talents, opportunities, and hope. The grace that helps us persevere in doing what is right. These are all God's gifts. You know, we didn't create ourselves. In the second place, gratitude is the perfect antidote to sin. Sin turns us in on ourselves, like a gross, ingrown toenail. Gratitude opens us up to both God and neighbor. It directly contradicts self-centeredness, self-indulgence, self-absorption. It builds bridges, unites communities, and softens hardened hearts. It counteracts depression and helps us with anxiety. Gratitude is one of the most beautiful flowers in our garden of virtue. What a pity that it's so rare. It's such an important virtue that God put it at the very center of Christian worship, the celebration of the Eucharist. That's why we just don't stay home and say some prayers or walk through the woods and go to the mountains and enjoy the view. Those are good things to do. But what happens here in our community and all communities and on the altar goes much, much deeper. Gratitude is an affectionate response to a favor. Since every favor is done not out of obligation, but freely, our response should also be free. But that means that our act of gratitude should be in some ways even bigger than the favor we have received. Otherwise, it would just seem like the repayment of a legal debt. Now, in creating and redeeming us, God has done us a much bigger favor than anything we could ever do for him. But God didn't want us to live in frustration, unable to return that love. So he himself provided a way for us to offer him a perfect thanksgiving, an infinite act of gratitude through the Eucharist. The Eucharist is Jesus Christ himself, body, blood, soul, and divinity under the appearances of bread and wine. And since Christ is present at this sacrament, so are all of Christ's actions and prayers, most especially his self-sacrifice on the cross. By uniting our minds and hearts and even our bodies through Holy Communion to Christ's own self-offering in the Eucharist, our human prayer of thanksgiving becomes divine. And so we are able to say thank you to God as we must, as we ought to, as we want to, and as God truly deserves. That is why we come together for Mass. We can only do it here. Today and every Sunday, let's be like that one grateful Samaritan. Let's do it with all our hearts.